This is a video for the Club Contessa. Well, girls, we took Contessa out to her second competition of the year, the mighty Pine Top Horse Trials, and I decided to put her in the intermediate. Originally, I had a plan for the advanced, but as you remember in our first intermediate a couple of weeks ago, she was a little bit out of control, and I wanted to test the new bridle, which was a huge success today, or this weekend, and I thought it'd be better to test the new bit over a slightly easier course. And also on top of that is I'm pretty confident Contessa will jump anything I point her at, and it's more this sort of control issues, and also she's getting a little bit older now, and I sort of justified the decision to myself too that she doesn't need to jump the really big jumps in February. We'll wait till Carolina International and we'll step her up to the 4-star short there in a couple of weeks. But that being said, she did well in the dressage. Last Sunday I took her to a dressage show, which is very productive. It's good for Contessa just to go to a show and not have to gallop and jump, and she put in 2 good tests last week at Bruce's Field. I just did the second level test. Similar movements to this intermediate test. And I think it was pretty good test. From memory, I have one bad transition. I think the walk canter, I picked up the wrong lead, which didn't really matter, but she scored a decent score, I think 32 or 33, which was pretty good. But the thing that I'm so thrilled about after this weekend is that I blew the dust off Neville Bardos's old cross-country bridle. It's called a cherry roller gag, and it worked a dream. I obviously gave her a light cross-country school earlier in the week, I think on Tuesday, and gave it a bit of a test there, and it was perfect. Obviously, with Contessa, she sees the jumps, and most of the time she jumps it well, but every now and then she just runs at it, and I really wanted to address this before we take on a 4-star and hopefully Kentucky 5-star. It's pretty hard for Contessa to do a great test, with these sort of provincial horse trials. We throw her on the trailer at 5 in the morning, we arrive at 6:30, throw a saddle on her and warm her up for half an hour and do the test, and she's a sensitive horse, and I think this is where I pick up the wrong lead. So I think our next event's going to be the Carolina International 4-star, and I'm not going to have that excuse there. We're going to get there the day before. I'll ride her at least 2 times before her dressage test, so she'll have a couple of rides where she can really get acquainted with the facility, and I'll be back up in Pennsylvania, so obviously Silver and Bettina's actually going to help me later this week and start really dialing in this dressage and see if we can get her down near the 20s. So with Contessa being such a good show jumper, I honestly haven't jumped a show jump literally since the last competition. I just gave her a cross-country school earlier in the week, and she's so good at show jumping that I feel like our biggest challenger, our biggest hurdle in getting to Kentucky is the rideability and the adjustability and the control for the cross-country. Contessa's fitness work is slowly being increasing, and I've got her looking good. She hasn't dropped any weight. Her muscle's still good. Her body looks good. Her soundness is really good. We trotted her up this morning after the cross country from yesterday, and she trotted up really well. So by saying that, I went like a really slow. I think I went around with like 20 time penalties, which was pathetically slow. That being said, it was more just giving her a run and seeing if this bridle worked, and again, I've just got to always keep thinking about Contessa's legs, and there's no real reason, in my opinion, to be going flat out in February. She's a great jumper. I think Peter Wild's going to come to Aiken later this week and probably give her a jump on Thursday in the show jumping ring. And like I said before, I think she'll head back to Pennsylvania on Friday or Saturday, which is perfect. I think the conditions are good up there at the moment, and the best thing about Pennsylvania is the galloping. We've got a couple synthetic tracks that we can use, and if the ground's as good as it is at the moment, we can use the big long turf gallops, which we're very, very fortunate to use the same gallops as a lot of the steeplechase horses and timber horses in Pennsylvania. She's just a careful jumper. Careful, she knows exactly where the rail is. I love her. So this is the cross country. This is about fence 5, and early on in the course, and I just gently tried to lift the bit in her mouth to slow her. And if you remember our disappointing round, not a disappointing, our out of control round a couple of weeks ago, when she gets fast, she sort of dips her head low, and using this bridle, I really felt like I could keep her nose up and her ears up. So when I'm slowing it, instead of sort of pulling the reins back towards my hips, I sort of almost just lift the bit in her mouth, and it worked a treat. Funny enough, I think it actually gives her confidence too. Like, I don't think I think she scares herself sometimes when she runs at the jump and panics at it a little bit. I think actually having a slightly stronger bit in her mouth and sort of, I want to say forcing her, but making her get the right distance increases her confidence. And, her jumping the fence as well, I think is the key, of success, especially over these big, long 5-star courses, is we need sort of control and brakes and adjustability towards the end, and she can't sort of run blind at the fences. So this part's right at the end of the course, and she started to get a little bit strong at the end, but not too bad. Like I said before, I just really coasted around the course. I just wanted to have a nice round. So I think we finished in 5th place. If we decided to go fast, she would have won it, but it's not really our interest. Here, you just see me just sort of try and keep galloping and lift her frame upwards, and I'd have to say this weekend's been a roaring success. So I've got my tail up again. I really feel like this new bridle cross country is a major breakthrough in our ultimate goal at competing at Kentucky later this spring.